Hey, welcome to the whatever the name the show is. I don't even know. In any case, good to have you with me. Right now, it's Friday night here in Singapore. And wherever you are, if you're watching us, do drop me a message, leave me a comment so I know you are here with me. And obviously, if you have some questions, you can always ask me. All right, today, what I'm going to talk about is this thing called ethical upselling, or if there is even such a thing as an ethical upsell. Well, I don't know. What about you? What do you think? I've been gone. I've attended webinars before where they tell you that come for this 45 minutes webinar, and we will kind of peel behind the scene and show you exactly how it's done. Some of these people actually do tell you what to do, but of course they never tell you how to do. And the problem with that is that many of us know what to do, but what we are struggling with is how exactly to do it. Now, I have no problem if people are saying that you want to tell people what to do, but if you want to know how to do it, there's going to be a paid course. So I would prefer if you had been upfront and tell me exactly that I'm going to invest 45 minutes listening to you pitch, and then at the same time to see whether I be confident that you are going to be able to help me solve my problem, right? I mean, if this is the first time I kind of like knowing you, then I can't be putting whatever amount of money it is the first time I see you, right? So probably that 45 minutes is for me to kind of get to know you better, to kind of find out more about you, and in that process itself, to then decide whether I would want to pay you money and to have you help me, right? So I have no problem with that. But the problem is that some of these people, they I'm sure you have been there before. If you have, leave me a comment and let me know. Some of these people, what they do is that they tell you that, well, we're going to tell you, or we're going to show you how to do it, and then you jump on the call or the webinar, and they just go on and on and on about pitching. They just tell you, this is what they've done, this is what they've done, and this is what you should be doing, but they don't tell you how to do it. And then, in the last 10 minutes or so, they simply tell you that, well, if you want to know how, we can help you with that, and that will cost you $6.99. Not cool, right? And I think this has really, created a lot of bad taste in the mouth for a lot of people, because initially I think many of us sign up thinking that, wow, we're going to get great value. And sometimes we do from some people, but most of the time we don't. And I must say that, if you're upfront with it and you tell me that I'm going to conduct a webinar, and, it's going to cost you $20 or $49 or whatever the case may be, right? It's going to cost you this amount of money, and you have to pay me. And in return, I'm going to give you the transcript and all that cool stuff, right? So if that's the case, I think that is fine. But you got to let us know, right? You got to let us know. And so today, what I want to talk about is this idea of ethical upselling. And the reason why I want to bring this up was because I I was having a conversation with one of my students, and I was sharing with her that she was being overly ambitious in terms of what she wants to put out there as an online course. And my response to her was simply this. So to kind of set things into context, I was doing a coaching session with one of my students, and she was sharing with me that she wanted to put her content into an online course. And when she shared with me the amount of content, the first response I had for her was that I think this is way too much and it's going to overwhelm your students, right? It's going to turn out to be, a really long course. Plus, there is a lot of moving parts and a lot of exercises, a lot of things that the students would have to do. And so, I think it's going to be too much and it's going to be too overwhelming. So my proposal to her was to trim it down to something that is manageable, something that is able to help the person achieve, a particular milestone. And then if the person makes it through that level, that is where you want to offer more, and that is where you could do an upsell. And she was a little hesitant with the upsell concept, and she was telling me she wasn't comfortable, and she felt that some of the people who have been doing this online course and then they upsell, you kind of feel like, hey, they could have actually included all those components into the online course, but they didn't, and they chose to do it in a form of upsell, right? I mean, we will never know what their true intentions were, but my explanation to her was the following. Look, you need to put yourself in the shoes of your learners. You may have gone through that entire process itself, but look how long you took to go through that process, right? So for example, for me to have launched an online course and no one bought, and then in that process itself, fine-tune and tweak until I'm able to pre-sell my second online course, and then went on to create other successful online courses. That entire process took me years to get it right. And so to think that I could condense everything into a 20-hour course and allow the person to, allow my learners to condense everything into that 20-hour course and to be able to kind of achieve that, I think it's going to be way too overwhelming. And what's going to happen is when it's way too overwhelming and there are too many question marks, that is where people will fall out of course. And so if you are concerned about your learners, I mean, if you are learner-centric rather than a trainer-centric course creator, you want to make sure that your learners are able to consume, digest, and able to execute on what you have to share with them. And so I think it's really, really critical for us to be able to distinguish that. And then for those who actually hit a certain milestone, then we want to provide them with other options. So, I think to me, there is such a thing as an ethical upselling. And really, it depends on the way you say it, but I think that there is totally a possibility to do upselling in an ethical way. What do you think? I mean, what are your thoughts about this? Do you think, is upselling a thing that is ethical, or do you think it's something that it's, unethical, for example, right? You can definitely leave a comment. One of these days, I'm going to figure out how to, incorporate, a call in as well, so that we have a lot more fun in the live show itself. So once again, my name is Melvin, and the reason why I am doing this live streaming is because I decided that I decided 10 days ago that I wanted to do something every day. I want to do something every day to improve myself. And one of the things that I've been creating all these little habits for the longest time. One of the habits that I have is every day to read at least one verse from the Bible, and then to look at how I am able to apply that to my life, because reading is one thing, but unless I'm able to apply that, I think that is really, really crucial. So that's one of the habits that I have cultivated. The other habit that I've cultivated is to be is to review my goals every day, right? And so I use the OKR methodology, the objectives key results methodology. So every day I would look at my goals, I'll look at my objectives, and I'll look at my key results. And I must say that in the last 2 weeks or so, I have really gained lots and lots of momentum in that respect itself. So looking at objectives and key results, really getting me to focus on the activities that is going to bring in the revenue, the activities that is going to, build up the momentum so that I get sufficient, opt-in for my newsletter, for example. So that's another habit that I have cultivated. Another habit that I've cultivated is this habit of recording my emotions. And I think it's, I believe I have spoken about this in one of the episodes itself, but, the whole idea with documenting and recording my emotions really is to enable me to evaluate and to review, how I feel during the week. And especially, to look out for things that kind of make me feel lousy and kind of things that make me feel good. And so I was sharing with one of this Australian couple the other day that one of the key things I found is that if I do certain activities, I generally feel much better for the day itself. So two observation is that one is that usually my mood in the morning is not as good as my mood in the evening. So I usually end off the day with a high. I usually start the day with a low. And so I have, identified that as a situation, as something that I want to address. And so it has allowed me to kind of, take a hold of that, right? So recording my emotion is the other thing. The other one that I have been doing it as a habit, it's workout. So I've been working out almost every day. Even with the circuit breaker on, I was doing some home workout and all that stuff. But I try to commit to a workout every day. Some weeks, I just can't do it because either I am sick or I just haven't got enough rest, and so it became a real challenge for me to do it. But most times I'm able to actually slip in one worked out a week. And so those are the habits that I have put in place. And so 10 days ago I decided that, hey, I wanted to create a new habit. And this new habit is for me to live stream every day. And I must say, when I made that promise, it was at least that promise to myself. When I made that promise to myself, I was a little apprehensive, but I decided to go with that because of a few things. One is that, I don't know of anybody who stream live regularly, at least here in Singapore or here in this region. At least not talking about stuff about building business? I don't know. All right. I mean, if you know of people who are, streaming on a daily basis, talking about business, share their links with me. I'll be more than glad to find out and, learn from them as well. But my point is that there are many, many people who just, are not willing to put themselves out there and to want to do this live stream because they're afraid that they might make a fool of themselves, or they might say that, look, I really do not know what to talk about, right? And so when I think about that, I look at that as an opportunity, because the fact that not everyone is going to be willing to do that gives me an advantage. I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to put myself out there, right? And so, it gives me an advantage. Secondly is, what should I be talking about? That one's fairly simple for me because I've been creating videos for some time now. So, at any point in time, I could talk about something. But the question is if that's something it's worthwhile for people to pay attention to. It's something is worthwhile for people to, learn something from. And so one of the things that I wanted to make sure was that whoever's watching this, they gotta be able to pick something up from this whole, experience itself. And because if they are able to pick up something useful from this experience, I'm very sure they would come back for more. And so I decided that, every day, I have to learn something. I have to learn something new. I have to learn something that is going to be able to help me achieve my goals. I'm going to be learning something that makes me a better person, whether it's, as a dad, as a creator, as a content creator, as an online course creator, as a business person, or just, as a good person. So I've always been looking at that, and I say that, well, I should be learning that, I gotta eat my own dog food, right? I gotta be learning that, and I want to be learning that on a consistent basis, right? And so, if you learn something every day, you definitely will be able to share it with people. I mean, there will always be things to talk about. And so as a result of that, I decided to focus on, every day when I come on live, the main emphasis is to share with you what I've learned today, how it has helped me either become a better person, or, make me more productive, or help me to achieve my goals, or help me move towards my goals itself. So that is the premise of this show. And so like I said, today, the whole thing around today's episode, it's about ethical upselling. And so, again, to give you kind of a context, I was having a conversation today with one of my students during a coaching session, and she was presenting to me the course that she had in mind to create that into an online course. And when I saw that her entire modules, I told her that the student is going to be overwhelmed. And so my suggestion to her was to trim it down to something that is manageable, and put that out as an online course instead, rather than to put the entire thing that she has come up with. She raised a question that she's not very comfortable with the concept of upselling. And that was when I told her that it's something that she has to deal with, because as long as it is ethical, you have no problem doing this upsell. It's only when you deliberately withhold information or content from your learners in the hopes that to hold them ransom and to get them to pay you more. When you do that, now that is unethical. And so my explanation to her was fairly simple. I said that, look, you had gone through that entire journey, and it took you a long time to overcome all those challenges. Expecting your students to be able to overcome all those challenges in a short, compressed period of time may not be realistic. And so as a result of that, you need to put yourself in the shoes of your learners and look at it from their perspective, and to see what is the minimum viable course that you could share with them that will actually help them kickstart the process or actually help them transform in some way, shape, and form. Now, for some people, just having that transformation or just having that realization is going to be enough, because once they have that realization, that is when they are on a roll. However, there may be other people who would need more than that. And that is where the upsell can come in, the additional content or the additional help, whether it's in the form of content or is in the form of coaching. That can be something that you can figure out later on. And so after the conversation with her, she was letting me know that she was all excited and now she had a different point of view about upselling. So what do you think? It's upselling ethical or unethical? This is the Melvin Live Show. I'll talk to you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.